Okay. I'm just recording a backup and I'll invite my guests I'm very excited to talk to tonight. Helen Iwata. Okay, that looks good. Oh. Okay, Helen, I'll invite. Okay, rock and roll. This is The Quarantine Show. I'm your host, Matt, and she's here. She's so easy.
Hey, this is great. Oh my goodness.
Great. I'm so thankful for you joining me tonight. How are you?
I'm great and I'm so excited and thank you for inviting me. This is now I can see you. I can't see comments and stuff going.
Okay. If you scroll up with your fingers, I think no one's commented yet. They'll start scrolling from the bottom.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see, I'm sure some of your followers, your fans will be joining. Oh, hi, Aya.
Is Aya there?
Yeah. I thought she'd be too busy tonight. So this is Helen, my guest tonight, and I feel like I don't choose who's going to be on this show. I get an impulse, and like I feel like it's like Helen Iwata. I have to ask her. She's guest number 3, and I have to get up the guts, and it's just building inside me until I ask that pressure builds in here, and I can't let it out until I get up the guts, the courage to ask you. So, and then the funny thing is, right after I sent you the message, you did your post about setting healthy boundaries. Like, oh, the word of the year this year is no, and she's prioritizing her time. So I'm so thankful for you being here. So, before we get into all about you, I was doing some research today, and I'm dying to ask you, your favorite character in Winnie the Pooh is Tigger, and I wanted to know, because I love Winnie the Pooh.
Where did you get that from?
Just through my research, that you and I really love Winnie the Pooh, and I connect my personality being like Winnie, and I'm wondering why you connect with Tigger, and also can you give us your best impression of Tigger, not to put you on the spot.
Okay, and bouncy, 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 fun, 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 but the most wonderful thing about Helen is I'm the only one.
Yay! And the thing I love about you the most, that I really adore about you, is I teach kindergarten, and I have 5-year-old girls in my class. And what I love about you is that you have that same sense of joy as a 5-year-old girl. You're not afraid to dance with your daughter on TikTok and just be silly and fun. And I feel like so many people lose that, and you discover that, and you bring that joy back into your life. So I've been a big fan since I attended your workshop. Was that about 5 years ago when I met you in?
Yeah.
5 years ago. And another question I'm dying to ask you is, your favorite movie is Love Actually.
Where?
And I grew up watching those Notting Hill, Bridget Jones Diaries. As a guy, I realize now that probably most high school boys don't read Bridget Jones' Diary and Bridget Jones' Diary 2, but I love romantic comedies. I've always been a romantic, and I'm wondering what about that movie do you love the most?
Oh, that love, actually, I mean, oh, it just makes me almost feel tearful just talking about it. It is that thing that there is love all around, and we get so focused on other things that we forget about that. So I think that's the main thing. But I also, just in terms of the story, I love that there's like all these little stories put together, and it all comes together so beautiful. And there's so much kind of emotion and the different kinds of love in there. I watched it again over Christmas because I just love that so much.
I thought so. That was another question I wanted to ask you, is when was the last time you watched it, or how many times you've watched it?
I don't know how many times, but yeah, I watched it again over Christmas. I was like, this is so great.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love those feel-good romantic comedies from like the early 2000s, 90s. But another thing I want to ask you about is, I feel like that Jerry Maguire line, "You complete me," messed up a lot of women about dating. So, oh, you don't know that? The line is, "You complete me," and it's total BS. It's like, you complete you. You've never watched Jerry Maguire? Okay, but I have the same thing with Notting Hill and movies like that. I watched so many of them. I just thought the girl of my dreams was going to walk into my bookshop one day or meet me at the top of the Eiffel Tower, and we'd fall in love, and that's how it's going to happen. And so far in my life, that's not true. If you have any dating advice, I know your typical client is female. Please let me know.
Well, you know, for me, I met my now husband at a picnic. He's Japanese, and it was just a pure, it's like, seems like pure sort of chance thing. And in fact, it was only about a week before I met him that I was talking with a friend, and like, oh, you know, who's going to actually meet the guy first? It was like, there's just no hope for us kind of kind of story. And then I was invited to this picnic by a Japanese female friend, and she didn't turn up. And I didn't know anybody there. And I just happened to sort of sit down. No, I was sitting next to somebody else at the beginning. This guy who I actually found out later, the friend wanted to set me up with him. I found this out.
Okay.
And he was very, very uninteresting. And so I put myself down next to who is now my husband. And when I sat next to him, and we started talking, and it was just as if we had, like, we'd known each other forever. And that was it. It was like one of those stories. We've been married for years now.
Okay, so it's just not my time yet. I think that's what it is. But I've never met your husband, but he sounds so sweet. I read the story, the chopstick story, where you could barely pick up the chopsticks, and he cooks for you. Is that a regular thing when you come home?
We both, you know, we share the meal situation. So before I went back to the UK, we got into a routine, because now my daughter's in the UK studying at university, so it's just for the empty nesters. So usually I prepare breakfast, he prepares lunch, because he's also, you know, has to work from home because of the current situation, and then kind of share who's going to cook dinner.
Okay. What's it like having an empty nest, and especially Carrie being in the UK during a pandemic? How do you feel about that? It's got to be hard.
So keeping in mind that I don't think she's on here live, but she may watch this because she's on Instagram. It is good having an empty nest. Brilliant. I love it so much, and at the same time I love her so much, and so, you know, I miss her, and I was very fortunate to be able to go back to the UK and spend a significant amount of time with her. So I'm really about, you know, focus on the good thing that's happening now, because so busy with the, oh, my child is somewhere around the world, and then you're missing out on what's going on. It's not doing anybody any good.
So what was going through your head when you went home? I know
my mom's online.
Oh, your mom? Douglas, and what's your mom's name?
Jean.
Jean?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Dad's name, my goodness.
That's the wonderful thing about this technology. But what I have to ask you, what was going through your head? One, you took a full month off of work, and that's not a typical thing for anyone to do in Japan. And you have a chance that you can't get back in the country. Like, what was it like going home for you?
Right. So yeah, and you say not a typical thing for Japan, and not a typical thing for me, because I'm a kind of a recovering workaholic. Thing that I've really been working on in these last few years is self-care. Really look, because I've got, and you've maybe read this as well, I've gone through burnout multiple times. So self-care, that's what I also encourage women to do as well. And even so, this decision to take a month off was really tough. And when I told my I was going to take a month off, I actually felt my stomach knotting up. It was just like really out of comfort zone. But the thing is, I'm a very family person, and been away from the UK for 2.5 years, not seen my parents in person for 2 years. I am going to the UK, and I'm going to take a big chunk of time, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like as if I'll be able to get back into Japan. So I was, whatever happens, I am going, and I'm so glad that I did. It was just a brilliant. And I feel it's like an empowering decision for me, and I hope for others, because, I'd worked through the year, and then, 11 months. And then I was like, okay, now I can take the month and prioritize family. So
what did it feel like being at home? Was it a sense of relief, or just to finally be able to reconnect with your family? What was that like?
Well, relief, to finally be there. Joy. There was much joy. There was much dancing and singing and laughing with my family. So it was just like this is the best. This is just wonderful. So I can't imagine having not, if I'd not gone.
And how about the situation for you now? What's it like coming back to Japan? Like you're in. I can see you're with hotel drapes behind you.
Are you back home now?
Yeah, I'm on day number 12.
Right. Okay.
So I'm doing in the future.
I prepared in case you wanted a tour of the room, because I watched some of your other quarantine shows, and I noticed room tours. So let's just see. This is my room. You see, it's pretty nice, as
Gosh, for a mandated quarantine hotel.
Right, exactly.
That's nice.
It's a really nice place. So in terms of what it's like being here, it's bizarre. It is.
What can you compare to the experience?
I don't know if I can compare it to anything really, because it's just so bizarre, because it's kind of this quite nice luxurious environment, but being kind of I was going to say treatment, but it's not the treatment, because people are very nice, but being checked up on multiple times a day is a bit, because for people who don't know, I mean, but you get multiple times a day, you get this notification through your apps, and you have to say, I am here, and then have to put in your health check in various places multiple times a day. You get video calls multiple times a day. And that I think is a little bit odd. And then at one point, and then you get the "you must not violate your pledge" notification. There's all these kind of scary things almost, because it's quite serious for us as non-Japanese. If we are violating the quarantine rules, then we could be out of the country.
Yeah.
And at one point, was it yesterday, I received a notification and it said, "We have detected that you are not in your quarantine location." And I was, where am I? I don't know.
Where do you expect me to be right now?
I see.
Who do I call? Oh, they're going to kick me out of the country.
I was just like, this is odd. And so I made the various inquiries about it. And then it was like, you can't phone because our phone lines are overwhelmed and you have to email. So I sent an email. And I did get a reply, and then I also got a phone call with an actual human today, because a lot of them are automated. A video call. Couldn't see her face, but she could see me, and she said, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's just something with the app and the GPS on it, and it thought you were somewhere else." And she's like, "You're there."
I mean, the app is glitchy, so reading in Facebook forums, I don't think you really have to worry about, especially when they already know where you are.
Yeah,
you don't need to worry about it.
That there's so much checking going on when I'm clearly in the hotel.
And you've been doing coaching calls all day. Do you get interrupted all the time with announcements and it goes to your phone, so it's an interruption to your day?
Well, at the beginning of my sessions, I do let people know that the situation is that we may be interrupted, and if there's any kind of problem with internet or whatever. But so far, it's been fine.
Okay.
One call where the video thing did come, it was actually a group call, so they could carry on talking, and I was just like showing my face.
The 30 seconds while you're continuing to do your work. I know it well. So what's the best thing and the worst thing about being in hotel quarantine?
I mean, I don't know. First thing that comes to my mind is just the humor of opportunities. Like,
the humor of what?
The humor opportunities, because there's so much that is just so bizarre. Like, I was watching your first quarantine show episode where you were talking about the tea, like the tea pack, because you get green tea cartons delivered with every meal, and then you get a pack of green tea. Well, one day when I went to, we get the announcement saying you may open the door with your mask on, but don't lock yourself out.
Oh.
And my, the bento is there, but this time it's not hanging on the door handle. It's on an upside down cardboard box, an empty cardboard box from the tea. And I was like, this is interesting. And it stayed there. And I was like, this is really odd. And then I started getting concerned, thinking, I wonder if they think that I've put the rubbish out there. Because, again, you don't put rubbish that's not, whatever out there. So I phoned. and oh, no, it was when they phoned me to ask about my temperature. And so I said, oh, and by the way, there's this cardboard box that's appeared outside and it's not moving. And she's like, oh, okay, thank you, I'll report it. And then a bit later, I got another phone call saying, so this cardboard box, is it your cardboard box? It's not my cardboard box. And, I explained the situation. They said, okay, well, don't worry about the cardboard box. We'll move it. And then I checked again the next meal, still there. And bizarrely, a cardboard box has appeared in front of the room across from me. Evening, I just peeked down the corridor. Almost every room has a cardboard box outside it now. I do not know what's going on with these colors.
It's like this quarantine was like the making of a Haruki Murakami book, or it's just in the Matrix. It's the day you get out was one of the weirdest days of my life.
Really?
It's like coming out of the Matrix. Do you want to go back inside and take that color pill, or do you want to go out? It's weird, but I don't regret it at all. I mean, part of this show, I didn't plan on doing this at all. I've been always meaning to do it, but it just got to the point where it's like, I want some more human connection, and it's getting a little lonely, and just happened that my old roommate was coming back from Italy. He came to the same hotel, and I was like, hey, do you want to try out Insta Live but some of those synchronicities in life that happen, and who would have thought that I went to your workshop on vulnerability, so many years ago, and here we are connected. Yeah, and I watched her YouTube video, and I'm the one who did the first testimonial, and it's kind of the old me, very quiet and soft-spoken, and it just was meant to be. So this is really cool for me. But if you look on the Facebook groups, people are complaining constantly about this experience, and you're like the 180 opposite of that. How do you get that attitude? Is that something that how did you become so positive and have that mindset towards life?
Well, I stay out of the negative Facebook groups because I know of some of the groups that, and I considered joining, but no, it's probably the amount of negativity is going to outweigh the value that I could get, and so I intentionally stay out of that. I'll stay out of negative things. Same with the news. Like, I watch a bit of the news, but not a lot, because the more you watch, the more you're gonna get affected by it. So that's part of it, is choosing where what I'm exposing myself to. But it's also about being aware myself that I have a choice about how I think. That really, because how you think impacts how you feel impacts how you act, and then that very, very much impacts the results that you're getting in your work and your life. So, but this is not something that I've always known. It's something I've only become aware of in the last few years. And I think it was actually at a point where I was in the late days of my corporate life. And I enjoyed much of my time in the corporate world, but it had got to the stage where there was just I was putting so much pressure on myself, and really getting pretty miserable. And I was writing like my journal one evening, and I was crying, and I was just like, and then it was almost like the pen started moving itself, and I wrote, I have a choice. And I was like, and it was like, and continue this unhappiness, I can do something different. That's when I made the decision to do something different, and that's when I started my own business.
So you describe yourself, you used to be a people pleaser, overachiever, a perfectionist, and you've transformed yourself from terrified to terrific, and fear to what was it, fun?
Probably.
How was it a natural transformation, or for someone who's at the beginning where they're just realizing that, hey, I can actually change how I think, and I can change my life. This is, it's a decision. What advice would you have for someone at the beginning?
Well, I would say
clients.
Awareness is, you mentioned earlier about the 5-year-olds. Like, kids are happy, right? We default setting as children is to be happy and excited about life. And then we get so much influence from society and upbringing and expectations. So we're just sort of, we cover up that excitement more. I think getting, you know, for people who work in those demanding corporate environments, or, you know, demanding sort of work situation, it makes it even, and you kind of cover all that joy. And what I've done for years is realize that I can let go of that and then bring out the joy that was actually already there.
It had just been buried by all the conditioning and from society, and you rediscovered and went back to the real Helen that you were when you were a little 5-year-old girl back in England.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I don't know if my mum's still watching, but maybe she could comment on that. But it's interesting because on one of the coaching sessions that I had today, we were talking about this topic. One of the women, she's amazing. She's a Japanese lady. She's absolutely amazing. She's very senior in her organization, which is mainly a male organization. And she was talking about how she kind of got a little, you know, in Japanese, the moya moya. She's like not so, feeling a little unhappy. And as we were talking, she asked this question. She said, "Is it okay for me to feel joy as a manager?" And I was like, wow. When this whole thing about the very often we think to be professional, you have to be very serious. And so you can't bring out the natural joy that you have. And what I'm learning is that it is okay for me to be joyful. And when I'm doing my work, I have more fun, and the people around me have more fun, and I can do better work. I mean, in my team, you know, we're a remote team, so most of our interaction is online, but we're always laughing. There's you know, the little laughing emojis going all the time in our chats, and you know, occasionally I'll send a video or something. Like I sent the video this morning of me with the delight that we actually got bread at breakfast this morning.
Oh, bread! Oh, you poor thing, still eating those bentos. No,
you know, if you have like 1 or 2 of those bentos, they're pretty good. But when you're all the time, it's like, yeah.
But that hits me hard when you say that, because I was like that. I didn't feel like I deserved to feel joy or to feel happy or to, and then once it was Aya Jean, who was both our style coach, that she kind of said that one sentence, I forget what it was exactly, is like, "You do deserve this." I was like, who, me? Why do I get to do this? Like, I'm not some special VIP. I'm not a CEO. Why do I get this experience? And after that, it's like, yeah, I do deserve this. I do. I deserve to have this wonderful conversation with you. I deserve to eat at a nice restaurant or treat me to a massage that maybe I would have thought was too expensive. But sometimes that's all it takes, is for one person to plant that seed and say, no, you deserve this. And on top of that, I'm curious, you're a mom. What values do you really want your daughter to really have ingrained in her?
Because I think about, she does have that push yourself, work hard kind of attitude, but she's seeing she's recognizing it more and more now, and she's also doing, like, she's meditating, she's quite interested in personal growth as well. So yeah, I want her to have fun, be the fabulous her that she is, and yeah, ease off the pressure on herself. Yeah, which is
people,
everybody, not just
do you find, I was going to ask you, with the female clients that you work with in Japan, is that a general trend that people just put so much pressure on themselves to perform and, get everything done for everybody else, and you the last person you prioritize is yourself?
100%. It's everywhere, and in a sense, even though what I've gone through in the past and the putting all the pressure on myself, the value of that now, that's what I've gone through, and I'm hoping that I can help more women to avoid that to the extent that it can be hard, because some people sometimes have to really learn the lesson themselves by going through the hardship.
Yeah, the experience.
Right, but my aim is really to bring perspective and possibility to people, and just show, like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like the client I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be that you hide your joy as a manager. You can be a professional and have fun being a professional.
Yeah, I mean, life should be fun.
Yeah.
And maybe I learned some of these lessons a little late, but it's never too late to, like, what I wanted to tell you about my big awakening aha moment last night about the Quarantine Show, after I watched your TED Talk, which I recommend everyone go and watch after this. But the quarantine is kind of the perfect metaphor of what my life was like, except the walls were self-imposed. They were made of glass, and you live with those limitations your whole life, that, oh, I can't do that, it's too expensive, I can't do that, I'm too shy or afraid. And, like, doing this show is me finally saying, like, why not? Like, you can do it, give it a try. But I probably for 30, 40 years, I was living my life in quarantine, and it kind of took me to be in an actual quarantine to realize that I don't want to live like this. I want to have lots of connection. I want to talk to lots of interesting, fascinating people. Like, what's stopping me? There's nothing. So, yeah, that was my big aha last night. It's like, no, it's really the unquarantined show. It's coming out of quarantine. And just wait for that last day when you get out and it's like coming out of the Matrix. And I hope it's like a sunny day, or my roommate had a snowing day, and the sky is just gigantic. You're so used to looking out your narrow view of the window, and the air, the taste of the air is like nothing that you've ever breathed before.
Outside these four walls, in here, it's just like, yeah. So, Matt, so great. I love the idea of the unquarantine, because it really is that, and what you say about we put those walls around ourselves. That's what I definitely experienced, because I know that, in the corporate world, when I was in the really work hard situation, it wasn't the company. It was not the all. It was me putting the pressure. I take responsibility for overworking myself.
This and the stories we tell ourselves cause us so much more stress than. But I'm sure you've went through some really tough situations, especially as a woman in Japan, as in a corporate setting and a foreigner. Like, I can't imagine what you went through for decades. You've been in 3 decades in Japan. I'm sure you've been through some tough situations.
I mean, there's some. Maybe I just choose not to focus on it because there's not
attitude.
Yeah, it's just totally about what do you choose to focus on, and it's.
I lost your the volume.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
What was I saying? I've forgotten. Where was I now? I got distracted by.
That's the thing with the comments, especially the funny ones. You being working as a woman and dealing with difficulty as a woman, but having a good attitude about it.
Right. It's choosing what you, I was saying about you choosing what you focus on, and I was going somewhere. Oh yeah, that's where I was going. I was going with the whole reptilian brain thing. So I'm really fascinated with and the whole thing about the reptilian brain. For people who don't know, there's the 3 parts of the brain. The reptilian brain is the oldest, and that's all about survival. There's the mammalian brain, which is all about emotions, and then there's the neocortex, the newest part of the brain, which is where we do our thinking. And that reptilian brain has such an impact on us even today, and that it wants to keep us safe all the time. And so I've forgotten where I was going with this one. What was it?
Reptilian brain?
Yeah, no, there was before that. There was, because I got on a tangent of the reptilian brain. Where was that? Something else. I have so many ideas all the time. But something else is a moment like that where I just like forgot about what I was talking about. In the past, that would have freaked me out. That would have freaked me out and gone into a panic. And now I'm just like, forgotten. It's not a problem. It's not a big deal. Let's carry on.
But talking about the reptilian brain, you've done TEDx talks, you've done hundreds of presentations in front of, I imagine, thousands of people. Does that fear, like those automatic thoughts, do they ever go away? And how do you deal with those automatic thoughts that make you feel anxious and nervous? Because I was nervous all today ahead of this interview. It's like I'm talking to Helen. I was like, am I really ready to interview Helen Iwata? Like, should I wait, practice a few more times?
Yes.
Does it ever go away?
Okay, so hold that one. So that's about the nervousness, because I'd remembered, and it's going again. What was it? Yeah. I remembered what I was going to say about the reptilian brain.
Okay.
Is that wants to keep us safe, so it intentionally focuses on the negativity around us, the danger around us, because it's looking for danger. It's looking for things that could be a threat to us. It's looking for, what do people think of me, and is that endangering me in some way? So our brain naturally makes us focus on negative things and negative thoughts. But we now have this, we have the neocortex, the thinking part of the brain. We can use that intentionally to choose what we think of and to recognize, no, that's just my reptilian brain wanting to keep me safe. No, where is reptilian? But you just go and sit in a corner.
So, is your trick just the awareness that you can recognize that it's your reptilian brain, and once you bring awareness to, that's just my ego trying to keep me safe. That's the ego's job.
Yeah.
Like it's good at keeping us safe of trying anything new.
And it's practice as well, because like the reptilian brain is very powerful, and it will keep on doing those things of taking you to kind of negativity and fear, because it's wanting to be safe, it's doing its job. So every time that comes up, it's like, there you go again. There you go again. And it's just ignoring it, and then it goes away. And then about the nervousness. So like, for example, let's take presentations. So, you know, a large career has been presentation skills coaching. When I first did a presentation, I was absolutely terrified. This is not, I was just like, jump up like, yes, I'm a great presenter. No, absolutely terrified. And one of the stories that I talk about is I was at a conference, and I was there, you know, I was speaking at a conference, and a chap in the audience kept giving his opinion.
Like heckling? The translator?
Yeah. Not so much heckling, but he was just like demonstrating his expertise. He was like, you know.
Yeah.
And in the feedback after that, the overall feedback was pretty good. But then there was one comment, and he said, "I would really have liked to have heard more from Helen and not from that person in the audience." And that really struck me. I was like, "Oh wow, yeah." I was really just, I was sort of in a way glad that someone else was taking the limelight.
That they actually wanted to hear from you and not this guy who thinks he's smart or is trying to act smart. Yeah. So that was a big wake up for you. It's like, oh, they actually want to hear what I want to say. They're interested. Oh, are you there? Oh, I think Helen right now may be getting a call from the Japanese government tracking her whereabouts. We'll see if she comes back. But while we're waiting, Helen has a webpage, Sasuga Communications. Okay, and she has a free a closed Facebook group that you can join if you're interested in getting to know Ellen's work more. Hey, she's back. And you were saying?
I've got a notification. I don't know if you can hear me. It says, "We're having trouble loading this live video. Please try again later."
Oh, I was thinking that you were getting your government checking up on you.
No, it was actually my husband.
I want to be respectful of your time. Do you need to wrap up?
No, I'm good. I'm fine. Because we were. Oh yeah, the presentations thing. So that was something I was like really not comfortable with, really nervous, and I received presentation skills training, and in that as well, I felt very nervous about it. But then after that, I started doing more and more presentations, and gradually became more comfortable. And so I talk about a lot is, you know, people say, "Oh, I'm not confident giving presentations." But confidence comes from competence, right? When you do something.
Confidence comes from competence. That makes sense. You earn it by doing it over time, okay?
How do you get to competence? You practice. So even if you don't feel confident to start with, you just keep doing the thing, and then you become competent, and then you feel confident. So that's where, you know, that's how I've developed through the whole presentations thing, because where I had been giving presentations in similar situations or similar content, then I developed my confidence there. But other presentation situations where I wasn't as confident because I hadn't done that kind of presentation or that kind of situation. But then the more I did those, doing those. So this is not just me, this is anybody that once you just become aware of that and you decide, okay, I'm not confident, I'm going to do it anyway, and then that's how you build your confidence.
I want to let you go. Did you eat your cold bento yet tonight?
I did. I ate my cold bento.
And when is your last day?
Sorry?
When is your last day?
So I am out tomorrow. Assuming everybody tests negative tomorrow, I'm out. But
okay.
I know that one of my daughter's friends, on the final day, somebody tested positive, and so she had to stay in for 2 weeks.
I was next to someone on the plane who was considered a close contact, but I had moved seats and I took pictures of my new seat showing that no one was near me, and they took me off the list.
Oh, wow.
So that was one thing about those Facebook groups, is I was very strategic about not being a close contact. I wanted to minimize that. I also wanted to make sure that I could, I don't know if you can influence it, but to get a good hotel to stay in for 6 days, because I'm sure that makes a big difference.
Right. How did you do that?
But, my thinking was that people are going to judge you, and if you walk through, you know, those stations where they decide where to go, if you're acting like someone who's you know, an ambassador, or you know, someone who's used to staying in really nice hotels, then they think you might make a lot of trouble when you go stay in the Saitama tax college dorm. So I thought, maybe it doesn't make a difference, but I might as well wear my best clothes and, you know, act like I'm the boss of something. But you are the boss of something, so you could play that role.
Well,
but what?
Because I ended up right next to the airport, so.
One last thing before if you have anything that you're sharing or promoting, or you have any fun events coming up. Going back to our Find Your Element, you were one of the first people to teach me about being vulnerable, and that was a big wake up for me at that point in my life. And I'm still, because I have this deep down fear of rejection, like doing something like this still scares the living daylights out of me. But I do it because this is something that I want to bring into my life. Mm-hmm. But how do you be the real you and be silly on camera and be authentic and not care about what other people think? Do you have any advice for me before I let you go back to being alone in your hotel room?
Practice. It's just practice. Those things, and you know, doing those things, and probably you do it and you think, oh, why did I do that? And then you find out that you're the only one who was actually worried about it, and other people are like, oh yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Helen. This was so wonderful having you here, and I'm so glad we reconnected, because I think you're not only, you know, ultra successful and a leader for the clients that you're serving, but you have this positive energy, this magnetic personality to you, where even if I see you on a post on Instagram, you feel it lifts people up. So I think that's one of your many superpowers, is you have this personality that glows. So it's such an honor and a humbling experience to have you, and only being the third guest on this show that kind of just happened. I'm so thankful. So thank you. People who are interested in working with you or getting to.
Yeah, can I say? Well, I think you're kind of going in the direction I was going to say, but 3 things, if I can, 3 things. So one, and this is actually a little bit about the whole practice thing and being silly and vulnerable, is, and you've already seen this, my Instagram reels. So a lot of people are watching this are on Instagram. I've started doing Instagram reels, and I hope that they bring a little bit of joy, and also they're a little bit thought-provoking in some cases as well. Mm-hmm. So that's out there. The others, for people who don't know, I have the Sasika podcast. So my podcast is out every Monday, a new episode. We're in year 4 of the Sasika podcast.
Oh, wow. I definitely recommend checking out Helen's podcast.
Yeah, number 2.
She's a pro.
In Apple Podcast Japan careers. Number 2 in the all-time.
Wow.
And then the third one you said is that, you know, anything fun coming up. This is really hot off the press. In fact, it's not announced, not officially announced yet, but we're going to have something special coming up later this month, I have a free Facebook group for women. It's called Uplifting Women in Business. Uplifting Women in Business. And in there, there's going to be something very special going on. So for women who want to be uplifted or want to uplift other women, I do recommend that you go and have a little look in there. It's just a free Facebook group, and you'll start to see what's going on in there. So thank you for that.
So you're Helen Iwata on Instagram, and sasugacommunications.com is your webpage, and your free Facebook group.
Yeah, that's sasugacommunications.com/UWB, Uplifting Women in Business.
Okay.
Yeah, and questions, just DM me on Instagram. That's the best thing to do, and you're in the right direction.
Okay. Helen, thank you. This is fun. It's fun, right?
Thank you to everybody who's joined.
Yeah, thank you, everybody who's joining. Abby. So I think a lot of people joined.
Yeah, there's so I can see my mom, I can see Mary, I can see Kumiko. I don't know, I've lost the other ones, but there was a whole bunch of other people. So thank you.
Everyone. I have such a I would say male brain. I can't do this looking at comments and you and really giving you my full focus at the same time. So thank you for saying thank you to everybody. I have to write that down. Have a good night, Oyasumi. And thank you so much for making time. I know you had a really busy day, a lot of screen time.
I was just thrilled when you contacted me. I think this is so brilliant. So keep it up. Keep up the On Quarantine show.
We'll see. Okay, we're signing off.
Bye.
Bye from quarantine.